All right, so this is my so-called emergency broadcast on the absolute asinine decision by the committee, the college basketball joke committee, to rob Rutgers of an invite to the NCAA tournament. To tell you the truth, I didn't even know I was going to do this until like a couple minutes ago. I'm doing this for like almost 9:30 at night, and I should have done this earlier, but look, I am absolutely, and by the way, this is going to be one of those, if you're somebody that doesn't care for foul language, things of that nature, then you probably should tune off. That's your warning. I'm fucking pissed that I had to watch and go through the season that I had to go through with this team as a fan. All the highs, the incredible highs that this team gave us as fans. And because of an injury, they are going to rob the rest of the players on this team the opportunity to play in the tournament, which we all know as fans, based on how this team came back and performed in the Big Ten tournament, that they would have been a tough out going forward. Now, maybe they would have been one and done, but they would have been a tough out. This team, these players have balls. You heard it from the coaches, the opposing coaches. You heard it from Matt Painter. You heard it time and time again. This is a tough, mentally tough basketball team that does not deserve to get robbed from the tournament because of a player that's not available. That's what we're doing here. That's what the reason is. Because we all know if Mawot Mag was healthy, this would have never even been a case. This bad run never would have happened. Therefore, the committee had to determine, well, Mag's not coming back, so what do? We're going to screw the rest of, we're going to screw the coaches, we're going to screw the fans, and we're going to screw the rest of those players. A guy like Caleb McConnell, Mulcahy, you see how these guys, these warriors, how they're fighting, the back injuries. You see Mulcahy has like a bloody nose that appears and scars all over his body the entire season. Oh, we're not going to give Rutgers a bonus for the losses of the players that were not there early in the season. Or maybe they do. I have no idea, because we know that this team probably would have at least beaten Temple if they had a healthy team. And we know that they probably would have ended up a 5 seed with Mag. What frustrates me more than anything is not just the fact that Rutgers did not get in. It's who they put in over Rutgers. And first and foremost, how in the world do you put Penn State ahead of Rutgers? You know, this is why this whole computer system, these bozos who have the biggest job in the sport is to watch as many of these games that they can. Nobody's asking them, and by the way, nobody's asking them to watch games from, I'd say, 80% of the teams that get into the tournament. You don't have to watch games from Purdue. Who the hell cares who's a 1 seed? Who cares who's a 4 seed? You should be watching and spending all of your time on the bubble teams. That's what you should spend your time on. And when you get the bubble teams, how many are there? 20? 15? And you can't spend time watching as much tape on 10 or 15 or 20 teams, bubble teams, that would give you the proper education to make these decisions properly. So what they do is they rely on computers. And I'm so sick of the computers. Every 2 years, there's a new computer index. And even if they would have followed the computers, they should have had Rutgers in. But the only thing I could say is for Penn State is, I guess they're healthy, right? Rutgers beat Penn State without Mag. And they beat them on their court without Mag. Are you kidding me? They beat Penn State by 20 at home. They just played Penn State a few weeks ago on their court and beat them without Mag. Penn State. Since when do we disregard head-to-head matchups unless it's one team is clearly better than the other? How do you beat a team twice and that team gets in over you? And I don't want to hear anything about the run in the tournament, because how many times do we hear that they pretty much have made up their minds a few days before the tournament, before these tournament ends, which, by the way, again, is ridiculous. But let's just say that that's the case. First of all, Penn State, oh wow, Penn State almost won the Big Ten tournament. Is it Rutgers' fault as far as how the seedings went in the tournament? Rutgers beat the team they were supposed to beat in that first game. And then who did they play in the second game? Purdue. And what happened in that game? Tough game, all the way down to the wire. Rutgers actually had the lead for a lot of the game, but they lost. What did Penn State do? Penn State did not have to play Purdue until the last game. So what if Penn State played Purdue in the second round, the way Rutgers did, and Penn State lost? Then what if Rutgers played someone else other than Purdue? Maybe they make the run to the tournament final. So that should have nothing to do with it. Nothing. And this Mountain West Conference nonsense. Utah State, Nevada, and Boise State get in over Rutgers? And they're going to go, well, look at their record against, quad one wins or their percentages of they're beating each other. All Utah State, Nevada, and Boise State have is the fact that they have a so-called tough conference based on the computers. If you take a look outside the conference, Boise State lost to Charlotte and South Dakota State. Okay? They lost to Utah State twice in the last 3 games of their season, which should have been elimination games. The Boise State-Utah State game in the playoff, in the conference tournament, should have been an elimination game. So Nevada loses to Utah State a week or so ago, comes back, loses to them again, and that's okay. They're allowed to lose to them because of the conference. The conference computers tell you it's good, and because they have a certain amount of percentage. Because I'm just guessing, because they have no significant wins outside the Mountain West Conference. Look at Nevada. How about Nevada ends their season on a 3-game losing streak? Nevada enters the Mountain West Conference tournament, and in their first game, they lose to crummy San Jose State. This is what drives me crazy. These teams know when they're on the bubble that they have got to come up big and they've got to win these games. This is their test. This is it. Don't complain about not getting in. If you're a bubble team, do not complain about not getting into the tournament if you lose your first round game in a tournament to a team that's not in the tournament. And they lost 3 straight to end the season. But that's okay. You're in. That's okay. Nevada and Utah State and Boise State, I guess, what is it? Because San Diego State maybe has a high profile? Because again, I don't care what the computers say. It doesn't matter. These teams beat nobody out of conference. No one. Okay, so if they beat nobody out of conference and all they're doing is beating each other in the conference, then you're trying to tell me that a Mountain West Conference team is better than a Big Ten team. If you're putting them side by side, they're right there. Everybody knows. Nevada, Utah State, Boise State, Rutgers, they're right there. They're right there. So they're very similar. So we have to decide who's better and who's not. And they choose not one, not two, but three Mountain West Conference teams over Rutgers. 3. Arkansas. How in the world did Arkansas get into the tournament? They lost 6 of their last 9 games. Pittsburgh. They lost 3 of their last 4, including Notre Dame. And I'm saying this because Rutgers had a tough stretch down the road. Because they did not remember it, because that's what everybody's going to say. Well, Rutgers blew it. They even said it in NJ.com. Well, Rutgers, they deserve, they couldn't take care of business when they were supposed to. They had a rough stretch run, so you should have took care of business. These teams did not take care of business. They did not get penalized for it. Rutgers did. This is an absolute travesty to those kids. Absolute travesty. And what I'm going to say to Steve Pikel is this. I absolutely love the job that you are doing. You have done a fantastic job. I don't care what certain fans might say when things aren't going well. They don't know what they're talking about. I've been a Rutgers fan since I can remember listening to my little transistor radio, AM radio, back in the days when they were playing. I guess what were they playing? They're playing in the same court. Back 40 years ago, 45 years ago. That's how long I've been a fan. Because I don't ever remember watching Rutgers on television back then, because they were never on television. So those are my days. That's how long I've been following this team, and Steve Pikel is clearly the best thing that has ever happened to this basketball program. He's done a fantastic job. But, coach, and you got the question a couple of times in the press conference before, enough of the crappy non-conference schedule, because that is the only other reason that I believe that they screwed you. There's 2 ways they screwed you. It's not the way that you played at the end of the season. No matter what anybody says, it has nothing to do with it. They screwed you for 2 reasons, potentially. 1, Mag's injury. 2, your non-conference schedule. They are saying basically, and I know you're going to go, yeah, but look what happened last year. They don't care. They're basically saying we give you a break last year and you didn't learn your lesson. Now, learn your lesson. And he's right. These guys over on Rutgers Athletics on YouTube, and Richie Schneiderite will be on my channel on Tuesday to talk about Rutgers and March Madness and the tournament. And these guys, actually, Richie pointed it out, which I thought was something that I've actually said to myself for the last year or two. Why aren't they scheduling these types of these tournaments in November, December? Why? What are you doing? Oh, how many crappy teams play in these tournaments? And what are we doing? Oh, we're playing Lafayette at home. I don't know, maybe we'll play like Cornell at home. We play these really stupid, ridiculous non-conference games. And I'm not even talking about Temple. You see the way that this works, Coach, and I know I really don't know why you're not getting this. They would rather you lose by 15 points to a top 10 team than to beat the team that's ranked 350th in the country by 50. That's just the way that it is. So why wouldn't you schedule those teams? And now you can do it. Now, if you wanted to shelter this program because of the players that you had, okay, fine. I'll give you that. Enough of it. No more. Because you are finally now recruiting with the big boys, which I love. Now, you're not going to have your full arsenal next year, but you are still going to have a better team next year. There is no reason in the world that if most of your key guys come back and the additions that you're going to have, and I'm sure you're going to add a transfer or two, there's no reason in the world that this team is not going to be even better next year. But we all know what's coming in 2025. We all know that it's not going to be about bubbles. It's going to be about winning conference titles, and it's going to be about Sweet 16s and Final Fours. And then the pressure is really going to mount up because this isn't pressure. This is not. This is bonus stuff. You did such a great job coaching this team this year because nobody thought this team. Somebody wrote the other day that this was a disappointing season for Rutgers. How could this be a disappointing season for Rutgers when at the beginning of the season, nobody thought that they were going to be in this spot? No one. You continue to elevate this program to heights that nobody could imagine. And you instill this toughness in this program and in these kids that is so awesome to see. And then when they get beat down and they're worn down and they're physically and mentally just can't deal with it anymore. I forget who said it after your win against Michigan, but man, you guys just keep doing it. Every time that people think it's over for Rutgers, every season, these last few seasons, all you guys do is come up big and prove to everybody that you are mentally tough. And just because you lost to Purdue, the best team in the conference, they were in your way. That's just the way that it worked out. It could have been any other team possibly than Purdue, and Rutgers probably advanced to the next round. Again, if you had the bracket the way Penn State didn't have to play Purdue until the end of the championship game, Rutgers probably plays in the championship game. Now, who knows what happens at that point? I don't know. Would it have been a game that they would have needed to win? Who knows? I don't know, because I don't know what this committee's thinking. I actually think that if Rutgers played Purdue in the championship game and lost, that maybe they'd still be out of it. I couldn't tell you. They are screwing the team. They are screwing these kids because of an injury to another player. And what it's telling me is that after, again, remember what I said before, that a lot of people believe because of all the work that these guys have to do, which again, I still don't understand. You have months to do film work on these teams. You could even say in the last 2 to 3 weeks to a month, you could be doing film work on all the bubble teams, and you wouldn't have to have a situation where you sit in a room for the weekend and go, well, we're not paying attention to what happens in these tournaments unless you get the automatic bid. If you are not paying attention to what happens in these tournaments, that is a travesty. Because it's the tournament that show you the mettle of the players. Just like I was saying with Nevada losing to San Jose State. Apparently, they didn't care. The committee doesn't care what happens in the tournament. They don't care that Nevada knew as a bubble team that they had to beat San Jose State and they couldn't do it. So they award Nevada the tournament bid for losing it against a team that is not even close. I mean, Michigan at least was a bubble team the entire season. San Jose State, are you kidding me? And you reward Nevada with a tournament bid. So I don't know what to tell you, Coach, other than, look, you can't do anything about injuries. We get it. I love the fact that you are, and I don't know if this is a coincidence or what the situation is. I love the fact that you are now getting the blue chip recruits, because what that will do is put this program in a position, as long as this continues, that you are never going to have to worry about bubble nonsense again. And hopefully this will be motivation moving forward, whether it's with this coaching staff or whether it's with a couple of players like Simpson, maybe a couple others that are here that could be here for another 2 years, maybe 3, and say, I remember when I got screwed. And I'm going to use that chip. That when we do get to the tournament next year, and when we do get to the tournament in 2025, that we're going to do something about it. And now that you have the players, Coach, if that was the reason that you decided not to have these tournaments, you didn't want to maybe put this team in a position where maybe they get overmatched, and you just felt that it was better that they won games and got some confidence, and whatever. I don't know what your reason was. I just don't. But it has to end. Okay? You got the question twice in the press conference for a reason. It has to end. It is time to schedule this team with nothing but elite matchups in the pre-conference games. No more. If you want to have a couple of cupcakes, everybody has cupcakes. You want to have a couple of cupcakes, fine. That's it. It is time to up the schedule. Okay, because you are in the Big Ten. And now we're going to deal with USC and UCLA. Like, if that's going to make things easier. So it is so, and I don't care. You cannot look at it like, well, our conference is so tough, I've got to get wins somewhere else. This is proof, coach. They don't care. They want you to schedule the tougher teams. They'd rather have you lose to the tougher teams than beat the bad teams. Here's another thing that just really kills me. Here's another team I'm going to throw out there. And by the way, let me see. I'm going to go through. Where is Rutgers? I can even put this on the screen while I'm doing it. I don't know how good it'll be. Let's see. Where are we? I guess I got to do it this way. Whoa, hold on a second. That was bad. Okay, I'm looking at the other screen because I didn't even think I was gonna do this, but oh, there it is. Let's get the R out of the way. All right, so let's take a look at the schedule. Let me see if that helps. All right, yeah, you know what? Let's even blow this up more. All right, I don't know how much you'll be able to see this. Okay, so Rutgers. I'm going to go through their blowout losses. They lost to 11 to Iowa, 13 to Michigan State, 11 to Iowa, 9 Illinois, 10 to Nebraska, 13 to Michigan, 12 to Northwestern. Those are their blowout losses, okay? I didn't even look at this team. What is Arizona State doing in the tournament? Are you kidding me? Arizona State. I haven't even looked at them yet. All right, so here's Arizona State. And look at this. They lost to Washington and Washington State back-to-back. That's impressive. They lost to Oregon. They lost to Colorado. In the game that mattered for them most of all, again, you got to come up big, and if anything, just tough, the way Rutgers did in their loss to Purdue. What did Arizona State do in their tough matchup with Arizona? They lost by 19. Arizona State lost to UCLA by 18. Arizona State lost to Washington State by 17. Okay? They lost to San Francisco by 37. I kid you not. And I didn't even know this. All right? Now, let's go to, because that was actually a team that I knew was going to have some bad ones. I didn't think it was San Francisco. That shows you how bad that is. Pittsburgh. They lost to West Virginia by 25. Michigan by 31. Okay? And again, the thing that should count is how you lose games. It really should. I'm not saying you can have a bad night. All right, but that Arizona State losing to 40 to San Francisco, what are we talking about here? That's a mentally tough team, huh? That's just really good. That really works. But the main thing before I close this out is you are robbing these kids because of an injury. There is no other explanation. You are robbing them because of Mag's injury. Everybody knows it. And you did not take into account the conference tournaments. And if you would have taken into account the conference tournaments, which are a precursor mentally to the big tournament, if you don't think the conference tournaments mean anything, then don't have them. If you're too busy in those rooms that the conference tournaments don't mean anything, don't have them. They mean a lot. They are awarding championships. You are winning a championship and getting an automatic bid by winning one of those tournaments. And you disregard them. Because if you watched them and paid attention, you would have noticed that Rutgers was a different team. That they mentally had turned the corner and said, okay, enough of this. The regular season's behind us. Now comes the one and done formula. Now comes the situation where you know you have to win. We're a bubble team. We know we have to win to move on. And we went ahead and did it. And then just because the matchup was the matchup and we had to play the top team in the conference when they did, and that game went down to the wire. And all you need to do is listen to the opposing coach to find out what he thinks about that team. Oh, and by the way, Penn State, let me get back to Penn State for a second here. How about this? I completely forgot about this with Penn State. How about this one? Penn State, they played Purdue this year 3 times. You want to know what they did against Purdue? Right there. Home game. January 8th, they lost by 13. Let's find out what they did on February 1st at Purdue. The place where Rutgers won at Purdue. They lost by 20. And by the way, even though they lost Purdue and played them tough in the championship game, that's 3 losses to Purdue. Played them 3 times, lost all 3. Okay? Rutgers plays them twice, beats them on their home court. The number 1 team in the nation on their home court. Doesn't matter. No Mowat Mag. Doesn't matter. And since we don't pay attention to the conference tournaments, we only care what happened before that. Didn't look too good. No Mowat Mag. Didn't look good before the conference tournaments. We're just too busy. We can't pay attention to the conference tournaments. You're out. And since we don't pay attention to that, we don't pay attention to the fact that Nevada can't beat San Jose State. It's a fucking crime. That's what it is. A fucking crime. You piece of garbage motherfuckers. You know, there's so much shit going on in this world right now. There's so much shitty politics going on in this world right now, and people getting fucked all over the place. And you try to deal with sports in a way where it can get you away from it all. And this is why, and I've said this I say this all the time when everybody asks me, what's my favorite sport? I go, love college football the most, up until the fact that the regular season's over. Why? Because once the regular season's over and you got that stupid, thank goodness it's over with, playoff system with 4 teams that we had to deal with, it gets all political. All political. And that's when it sucks. And that's when it goes from my favorite sport down to like 7th. And because Rutgers hadn't had to deal with any of this nonsense before, and this political nonsense before, used to having this program lose all the time, didn't really occur to me that this would be something that I would diminish how much I feel about college basketball. Oh, pie in my face, shit in my face. They sure did it to me. This is what they felt. And it's all, and I'm not saying it's politics, but you get into a room, a committee, you get them into a room, and you just, I don't know, you expect that they're supposed to be the smartest of the profession. These are the guys that are putting together the biggest tournament in the country. And this is what you get. You get guys that don't give a crap about conference tournament play. And because of an injury to a team, to a player, which, by the way, I can understand. 100% if Rutgers would have lost to Michigan in that first round game. If Rutgers lost to Michigan first round, we are not having this conversation. But because they proved again to everybody, and they've been proving it the last few years, that this particular group, and we're not talking about the fact that, yes, you had Gio and Harper and stuff, and down the line, and there's been other players that have been a part of this program for this run. This should have been a 4-year run. It's Pikel's group. And he has made these kids, and they are a part of it. It's not, he is the leader, he is the director, but they have to do this themselves. And the fact that these kids, under the conditions, we know how injured they were. Not just Mag. We know how much they struggled down the stretch. For them to put that all behind them and to go into this conference tournament and say, we're going to get it done. We're going to prove to everybody once again that when our backs are against the wall, we can play with anybody. And that's exactly what they did. And you motherfuckers, you basically shit on them because you didn't even pay attention, didn't even care. Didn't matter to you. You're a disgrace. And coach, can't let this happen again. That's it. Start scheduling harder. Don't care if you lose. Doesn't matter. Just schedule tougher. And now that we're getting better and we're going to be more talented, and I'm not asking Rutgers to go, it'd be nice to go to Hawaii or nobody's asking you to go to a tournament with 8 teams and 6 of them are in the ranked preseason top 10. Nobody's asking you to do that. But go to a tournament where there's a if it's an 8-team tournament, make sure that every team is considered a top 30 preseason, something like that, or 80% are. Or go to a conference tournament with 4 teams and make sure that 2 of them are top 10 preseason teams. And if you lose, you lose because it doesn't matter. And I don't think you're going to lose all the time anyway. All you have to do in those types of tournaments is split. And because of the fact that you coach these kids and they're to be tough, mentally tough, and they are, that if you put them in this position and they're in a conference and they're in a tournament where they know that if they win a couple of games, they get a trophy and it's all fun and where, it makes them feel good about themselves and they've accomplished something, I get the feeling that they'll probably win some of those more than they'll lose them. I really do. So it's no more babying. The babying is over. No more babying. All right? Time to play preseason, pre-conference tournaments. That's number 1. And number 2, don't put yourself in a position to be a bubble team anymore. And that means keep this recruiting up because it's awesome. And just pedal to the metal, man. Keep doing what you're doing. And nobody's saying that, you can't have a bad year every once in a while. It happens. But you know what? There are some really great college basketball coaches that have been on runs that make the tournament every year. And I honestly believe you could be one of those coaches. I really do. And I think it's important that you learn some lessons here. That's the way you grow. You learn from your mistakes. Figure out what those mistakes are. I think they're pretty obvious. We just went over them. You can't deal. Injuries are injuries. Nothing you can do about it. But you should know what you need to do right now and make sure that you do not leave this up to the committee anymore. Because these motherfuckers don't give a shit about you. Okay, because you guys haven't earned anything. If Rutgers had the name recognition. See, North Carolina did absolutely 0 this year. 0. And they were still right there, right next to us on the bubble. And they did nothing. So just imagine if North Carolina, just imagine if our team was wearing their colors. Probably been an 8 seed, 7 seed. Yeah, that's a funny thing. Michigan State was a 7 seed. Michigan State's a 7 seed and we're not in the tournament. What's going on here? What are we doing here? I can't keep this up all night. I can't even believe I did 35 minutes of this, but that's the deal. You know, these, I don't know. I think they have a new chairman every year, the committee. I think they do. I hope they do. Because this motherfucker, if it's his first year, he's failed completely. And leave it to the CBS dumbasses for not even asking him about Rutgers. Matter of fact, that should have been the first few things they should have talked about. Again, nobody cares about seeding. Nobody. The only thing you care about seeding is all right, you're in, fine. Let's talk about the seeding on Monday or Tuesday. You don't talk about seeding when you have that guy there to answer tough questions. You should have asked him, I don't care. Oh, let's take a look at the last team in and the last team out. Wow, he didn't even answer the question. Do your job, man. You're journalists. You're supposed to speak for us. And you didn't even ask him about Rutgers. How dare you? You don't even give him you should have, that should have been the first thing on your mind. I mean, you got Joe Lunardi, the one of the top bracketologists around, and the only team that doesn't get in is Rutgers, and you guys don't even ask a question about it. And by the way, CBS, the overall coverage of Selection Sunday, they were woke before woke became an actual thing, because they have completely turned Selection Sunday into a joke, as far as the pageantry and the excitement and the drama. It's all a joke. Because in the old days, when it was fun, when it was drama, they used to not have any idea. They used to say, we're going to put the bubble teams, we're going to put 5 bubble teams, and we're going to find out what their reactions are. How do they react to get in? How do they react to get out? Now, all they do is put in all of the teams that know they're getting in. We have to see reactions from teams that are already in. Why? What does that do? Watching the same reactions from players that know they're in. What does that do for drama? Nothing. The whole thing is disgusting, and yet I'm still a fan. But I'm a fan. You know what they say about when you get a couple together or a friendship? You have a certain friend, or it could be a guidance. It could be somebody that's a teacher, and you hear them yelling at somebody. You hear how disappointed they are in somebody. And they go after them, and they get in these arguments. And then you say, well, you can really tell when somebody cares for someone. Somebody cares for someone based on how much passion they have in trying to make sure that other person is doing the right thing. And that's the way I feel about college basketball. I love it so much that I love this time of year so much that I want to make sure that the right thing is being done. Okay, and if this was another team, maybe and I'm sure that's a lot of it. But I know how tough these kids are, and I know how tough that they've been all season, and the injuries and how mentally tough it's been, and for them to respond in a positive way. And for you to shit on them is the reason that I had to go off here today, because it can't happen again. Now, I just hope in the next couple of years we can shove it up their ass with a nice national championship, because in a few years we're going to have some kick-ass motherfuckers playing for us. And when that time comes, I'm going to remember this day. So tune back in on Tuesday when I talk to Richie Schneiderite. We'll talk. I don't really know if I could talk much more about this. Richie, I'm sure we'll have a show. You could check that out. I don't even know if he's posted one yet, or we'll have one tomorrow. I got to believe he will. I'm sure he'll have some really good input on why they didn't get in. Because I don't need to do any other homework other than what I see with my own two eyes, and I can see with my own information. But those are more experts than me. I'm not a college basketball. It's not my regular job like those guys. So check them out. And then also later on this week, don't forget we're going to have our preview Tuesday with Richie. I'll do another preview. You can check it out also over at Playbook Experts, that YouTube channel. Mark Lawrence, Jim Feist. I mean, these are legends in the handicapping industry. Mark, Victor, Jim, Andy, they're all going to help preview the tournament, the playbook. If you want the best March Madness tournament guide going, then check that website out, playbooksports.com, right there on the screen. Check out the Playbook Experts YouTube channel. They've got the guide. It should be available at some point, I think on Tuesday. It is well worth, I don't even know how much it is, but it's well worth it. If you like to gamble on the tournament in any way, shape, or form, you've got to get it. Now, I'm gonna take some of that stuff out of that guide. I also have my own list of tournament trends that I like to go over, and that's what we're going to do when we preview the tournament. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to give you some really good tips on how to handicap the tournament over the next few days. So Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be Tuesday and Wednesday on both channels. Check it out, and you won't be sorry for, again, especially if you like to gamble on the tournament, you won't be sorry for spending whatever it's going to cost to get the guide from Playbook Experts and Playbook Sports. So I'm out of here. I hope I get an Aaron Rodgers present tomorrow, because I need something positive after this one. So go Rutgers. By the way, as far as the NIT, I can't watch it. I can't do it. I can't. And maybe if they're in the championship game, I'll tune in, but I just can't do it. It's I can't. So it's on to the football season next. And as far as Rutgers fans, so we'll get into football for sure. And I'm out of here. So if you like it, subscribe to the channel. Please do that. It's very important. Like the video too if you enjoyed what I had to say about the cocksuckers from the NCAA Tournament Committee. And and share the video. That'd be awesome. So, and again, I warned everybody how I was going to speak, so I hope you're okay with it. I don't usually speak like this, but it's in me. I just leave it somewhere really low because it's got to get out every once in a while. Every few years it has to get out. And I had to get it out tonight because these kids deserved it. We'll see you soon.